Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me. And I think the last presentation was a good transition into mine. I'm going to sort of hop into modern day scripts now. So, yeah, my dissertation in general, it deals with the factors that I'm looking into the factors that determine whether a newly invented writing system will be successfully adopted into a new community. And I'm not going to be talking about that specifically today. I'm going to be talking about this, but I believe that the implementation of visual cultural elements into a script can help a community to establish a stronger relationship with the script, which is arguably the most important factor for script acceptance. So yeah, sorry, it might be a bit of a visual overload, and I am talking about 10 different scripts. Some of them have already been mentioned. You probably recognize one of them there on the first page. So yeah, I'm also not going to be talking about this today, but I just wanted to mention it because in my research and in the paper I've written, I talk about the visual cultural elements, and I also discuss why the writing systems have been created in the first place. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of background info on it. So I've said that the reason why scripts can be invented in the modern day are usually as a means of resistance towards a more powerful language group, a state internal or state external colonial power, another group within the same language, as a means of unification of marginalized groups to express cultural identity, as a form of language preservation and promotion, or as a form of recuperation of literacy, which is what Piers Kelly talks a lot about, if you are familiar with his work. I'm not going to be talking about it today, but it's very interesting, his and other people's works who they discuss language communities who will have folklore and myths about how they lost their writing, about maybe it was destroyed in some catastrophe, or it was stolen or destroyed by an enemy people. So a lot of times people will reference that as the reason for why they have invented a new script, or maybe the script came to them in a dream from their ancestors. So, and I just also wanted to mention that, yeah, I'm not going to mention these in my case studies today, but maybe you can yourself try to think about why the script was invented. And I think that Ditema Tsadinoko, which you've spoken about for us yesterday, and it's a good example of a script that was invented as a means of unification of marginalized groups. So I just wanted to point that out. So what I will be talking to you about is the embedded visual cultural elements. So I've sort of divided them into four main categories: common cultural icons and images, which are the majority of the case studies that I'll be talking about today. Influences from traditional art forms, elements from the indigenous knowledge system, and traditional body art forms. They don't all necessarily have just one of these, they can have a mix of them. And you might recognize the Vanuatu sand drawing here from Tim Brooks's talk, and the Litema from the Ditema Tsadinoko. And so my first case study is the Wancho script, and this was the main case study of my dissertation as well. And I was able to go there and meet the inventor of the script and speak with people who were involved in the promotion of the script. So yeah, Wancho is a language spoken in Arunachal Pradesh, India. It has around 56,000 speakers. It's classified as a mid-sized stable language. And the alphabet was invented by a local teacher named Bonwang Losu in 2012. It's currently taught in some schools, and it was accepted to Unicode in 2019. And it was previously, if at all, written with Devanagari or Latin scripts. And so this is kind of the general information I'm going to give you about each script, and then I'll talk about the visual cultural elements. And so in Wancho, you have common cultural icons and images. and body art. So 36 of the different graphemes in Wancho are made up of a mix of everyday and specific cultural elements. When I spoke with him, the inventor said that the orthography of the Wancho script represents human actions, birds, insects, trees, tattoos, traditional handicrafts. Oh, and sorry, the grapheme, it's not coming up here actually because it must not have the font. But it was coming up on my computer. And yeah, so some of the characters are also based on the rebus principle. For example, the grapheme, you can't see it, but it's cha. It's based on a lion, and the word for lion in Wancho is chanu. And then he also explained to me that two of the graphemes are based on traditional tattoos. And in an interview with someone, they told me that the tattoo for men is for bravery, and for women, it's to signify the stages of their age since puberty. And yeah, in general, implementing these elements into the writing system expresses the community's relationship with the local environment, as well as their work ethic and attachment to areas of cultural importance. So I just have a sample of the graphemes over there but there's a whole list of them. And what their cultural attachment is. The next one is the name of the script is Chisoi. It's for the Kurmali language. It's also from India. It's spoken in Jharkhand, Odisha, and West Bengal by it's quite a lot. It's a bigger language than Wancho. It's spoken by around 600,000 people. It's a stable language. It's an alphabetic script that was invented by Jayanta Kumar Mahata in 1986. And it's used in a few schools in each different state. And it has a weekly newspaper, some educational material. And the script was just encoded to Unicode in the most recent edition, I believe, which just came out a week or two ago. And yeah, it can also be written in Devanagari, Odia, and Bengali. And this script also uses common cultural icons and images and influences from traditional art. So the inventor based Chisoi graphemes on local cultural symbols called alpanas and rangolis, which are decorative patterns created on the floor using powders such as limestone, ochre, flowers, or sand. And in the Unicode proposal, author Biswajit Mandal stated that many graphemes are based on the Kurmali deity Burhababa. And he said, they believe Burhababa is the first humanoid of this planet, and all of us are his sons. So I have some examples there in the top right of where the design of the graphemes came from, but I don't have as many good examples for this script as for other ones. And then this is just an example of Kurmali teaching material, children's book. So the next one is Mwangwego, which was invented for the Bantu languages of Malawi, such as Chichewa, Yao, and Tonga. Those are some of the larger ones. And most of these languages are institutional or stable languages. It was invented in 1979 by Nolens Mwangwego. It currently maybe has around 2,000 users, but it's not really recognized by the government yet or used in schools. It's according to my sources, going to be submitted to Unicode, or maybe already recently has been. And yes, before that, it would have been written with the Latin script. So it also uses common cultural icons and images. When discussing the design of the script with the inventor, who I was able to get in contact with, he said, there are three sources of symbol: imagination, household objects like spear, gold, clay pot, etc., from nature, such as root, leaf, and human body, palm, ear. And then he goes on to give some more examples. And so, yeah, Mwangwego designed the symbols using icons and images that were familiar to him, which I've explained above. I'll just go on to the next one. Yeah, so Olchiki is the name of script for the Santali language, also spoken in Northeast India. You might be noticing that there's a bit of a script hotspot here, maybe. Yeah, and there, even in my presentation, there are so many other scripts from Northeast India which I was not able to put in my presentation. So yeah, Santali is spoken all over Northeast India and in Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Nepal by around 7 million people. So it is a large, stable language. And this is the oldest script in this presentation. It was invented in 1925 by a local teacher. And the script is being promoted in schools in West Bengal and in certain areas of India as well. And it has been in Unicode for a while now. It was accepted in 2008 to Unicode. And the script can also be, the language can also be written with Bengali, Assamese, Odia, or Latin. And so this script also uses common cultural icons and images. And unlike Wancho, which it's not necessarily every grapheme in Wancho that has a connection, but this script, every grapheme is based on something. And I've taken these, it's gotten a bit messed up on the right, but all of these explanations about where the inspiration of the grapheme comes from the script's website. So you can go on the website and check out all of them, but I've just put in a few here, like burning fire, working in the field, mushrooms, the peak of a mountain. And so, yeah, on the script's website, it says, one of the interesting features of the Olchiki script is that it makes use of signs and symbols long familiar to the Santals, and it also states, letters of the Olchiki script are also derived from the physical environment and what surrounds the people, hills, rivers, trees, birds, bees, plow, sickle, the list is endless. And yeah, I've already explained a bit about the grapheme for mushroom there on the right. And similar to Wancho, these graphemes also express work ethic, nature, and cultural artifacts. And I haven't quoted it here, but going back to why the script was invented in the first place, there is a bit of information on the website about, there's a bit of an explanation about why the script was invented, and it has some information about how the Devanagari and Latin scripts are not good linguistic fits for this language. So you can also go on the website and have a look at this. And the next script that I will talk to you about is Bete. So Bete is used for the Bete languages spoken in central western Ivory Coast. There are around 3 million people speaking these various languages, but I am not able to find very reliable language data on how many people are speaking each variety. This is a syllabary of 440 graphemes invented in the 1950s by artist Frédéric Brulé-Boisbré. It also has not been submitted to Unicode, but I know that it's in the process. It's currently at the Script Encoding Initiative, and it's will eventually have a proposal submitted to Unicode. And yeah, if at all, these languages would have also been written with the Latin script. Here is a, yeah, this is not all done, but here's just an example from Yo and Sao, who did this design. So this also uses common cultural icons and images, and each syllable is coded by a referent in the Bete language, generally borrowed according to the author's stated intention from the acts or objects of daily life. And so I won't be able to point out each individual one, but basically uh, so various graphemes appear to be based on different foods, or plants, or activities. And basically, like where it says C5R3, that just means column 5, row 3. So if you, we can come back to this at the end, maybe, and take a closer look. But as you can see, you're definitely going to be able to find meaning in a lot of these graphemes. So the next one is Afaka for the Ndyuka language of Suriname. And yeah, this is the only script in the presentation from South America. And it's, you know, one of the few I've recently become aware of a few other scripts from South America, but there are very few recent ones coming out of South America. So Ndyuka is an Afro-English Creole spoken in Suriname and French Guyana by around 67,000 people. It's classified as a mid-sized stable language. And this is a syllabary of 56 graphemes invented in 1910 by Usa Atumisi Afaka. And it's the, yeah, as far as I know, the only known indigenous script developed for a Creole language. And it was proposed initially to Unicode in 2012, but it hasn't gone through yet for various reasons. So this also uses common cultural icons and images. The design originates from Latin and Arabic scripts and traditional African symbols. And a more controversial view is that the symbols already existed prior to the creation of the script, but that they had religious rather than phonetic significance. Many of them resemble acrophonic rebuses, stylized pictures of something which begins with the sound of the symbol stands for, from Africa, where they may have been used in religious ceremonies. And this one is interesting because the inventor claimed that this script had been revealed to him in a dream. And the next one that I will talk about is Avoyuli for the Raga language. So Raga is an Austronesian language spoken by a small amount of people on Pentecost Island in Vanuatu. It's an alphabetic script consisting of 20 letters, invented by Chief Viralio Bulgoren Vanua in the 1990s as part of the Turaga movement, which was an indigenous movement that supported the restoration of traditional Melanesian customs. So yeah, it was designed to be written Bostraphodon, but it is usually written left to right now. And this one, it seems that the script is currently dormant. It doesn't really have any users or anybody promoting it at the moment. It hasn't been proposed to Unicode, but it just depends what's happening on Pentecost Island in the next few years. Someone could pick it up and promote it again at any point. So yes, and so here you'll see an image similar to what Tim had about the sand drawings. So this writing system draws its inspiration directly from traditional art. So although the inventor drew inspiration from Latin as well, the script bears little resemblance to it. And this one as well, the inventor claims that he'd rediscovered his language's lost script. And yeah, so this is similar to Rangolis and Alpanas. And it appears that the individual graphemes are not based off of specific symbols, but that the script as a whole is meant to mimic this form of art. And I just want to point out that I'm talking about Avoyuli here, and Tim in his presentation, he was speaking about the possibility of these sand drawings also being writing, but I'm referring to them here as an art form. But if they are really, determined to be writing, then I will need to adjust what I've said about them, because then that will mean that this system is not based off of an art form. It will mean that it is based off of another writing system. Yeah, I won't talk too much about this one, because we've already had a presentation that went into depth much more so than I'm going to talk about. But yeah, so Ditemetsal Dinoko, as you all know, it's from South Africa. It's meant to be used for a variety of different languages, which all have different levels of vitality. Yeah, the Scripps website describes it as an alternative literacy in line with principles of decoloniality. And it's based off of Litema, which is Sesotho mural art. It has not yet been submitted to Unicode. And I'm not sure, this one I'm not sure when it's going to have a Unicode proposal. And yeah, I've noticed that it gets a lot of promotion on Instagram. And so this one, it's also based off of a traditional art, which is the Litema murals, which you've already seen. Yeah, the Scripps website again states it's based on well-established regional symbologies and received wisdom of the indigenous knowledge system. And I'm not going to go into detail anymore about how it's used, because we've already learned this, but I included it because I think it's really interesting. And again, with this one, the graphemes are not based on specific elements, but the system as a whole is meant to mimic this art form. The next one, which I will talk to you about, is the African Lakeside script for the Luo languages. So this was created for the Luo languages. So it's comprised of the Luo alphabet, which was invented by Kefo Ombewa for the Do-Luo language of Kenya. And in combination, it also has Luo numerals, which were a separate invention by Paul Sidandi from Botswana. And the script together, it's being trialed in several schools in Botswana and Kenya. And yeah, it has been proposed to Unicode, but has not gone through yet. And so this one, what is actually interesting for us is the numeral system rather than the script. So it uses traditional body art and influences from the indigenous knowledge system. So the inventor claims that these are his recreation of lost Hebrew numerals of Botswana. And he has a book out about this as well. So that is Paul Sidandi, if you want to look into what he's said about this. But I was able to speak with him. And so he said, and I have not been able to fully grasp this yet. So if you, yeah, take it with a grain of salt. But so he said the cardinal numbers were based on digits of the hand. These are represented as sticks in the Luo language. The large numbers from 10 are represented by elements found in nature. 100 is based on the two hands facing each other from the word mia, or give me. 1,000 is based on the gap at the lower teeth after the extraction of two central incisors. So I've said that this receives inspiration from tooth ablation or ritual tooth removal. And as for the alphabet, I haven't included any information here, but I haven't been able to speak with the inventor of the alphabet, but Paul Sidandi did tell me that he knows that Kefo Ombewa apparently he got his inspiration for the design of this script from watching children draw on the ground, like learning how to write on the ground. But that's all I know. I haven't been able to get in touch with him. Otamong, this is a script for the Nasioi language from the Bougainville Autonomous Island of Papua New Guinea. This is a script that Piers Kelly does a lot of work on. So it's spoken by around 20,000 people. It's a mid-sized stable language. This is an alphabetic script created by Chief Peter Karatapi. Sorry, I don't have the date there, but it's within the last 20 years. I'll have to check the date. Yeah, so it's a cipher script of the Roman alphabet, and it has three forms. So it has an uppercase, a lowercase, and an ornamental form, and it's the ornamental form that is of interest to us. This has also not been submitted to Unicode, and I'm not sure. I think there's nothing going on right now in terms of Unicode, but I might be wrong. So this script uses influences from traditional body art. So the script has, oh, sorry, I've already said this, the script has three forms. So let's see. Yeah, so the lower and the uppercase forms draw their inspiration from Latin, but the decorative form has influences from body scarring or cicatrization. And you can see examples of this here on the right, which I've taken from Piers Kelly's paper on this. And yeah, for the promoters of the Nasioi Otamong alphabet, the script is seen to represent these once prevalent sacred designs, which is what Piers Kelly has said. And this is sort of the same situation with Wancho, and I believe why the inventor has taken influence from traditional tattoos into the script is because this is not being practiced as much anymore. So this is a way for them to preserve cultural practices that are no longer taking place. This is the end, but I also just wanted, sorry, I probably have gone a bit short, but that's all right. I'm sure we're all ready to leave. The future, so scripts that I know implement visual cultural elements that I haven't been able to look into yet are Nsibidi, Beria, Kore Sabelli, Umwero, Mandombe, and Syllabario Amazonica. But some of these are very new. Maybe you haven't heard of that. So a lot of them I have only just recently become aware of. And then these ones at the bottom, maybe they do, I'm not sure. So if anybody knows anything about them, please let me know. And if anybody knows any scripts that they also think that I should look into, I would love to hear about it. So, yep, thank you.